Impressed at last, Eric Ten Hag could give Amad Diallo his first start in the English Premier League. Welcome to the United Sport. My name is Webb now. The latest coming through from the Old Trafford as we do take on the rock bottom Sheffield United in a must-win encounter is that Eric Ten Hag might be forced to make changes, not just because of injuries, but also because of the real situation that is that certain players have clearly chosen not to play for him. Now, Amad Diallo, we have all been advocating for him to be playing and starting games of football for Manchester United. I think it's been a long time, us hoping that Amad is given the chance. And honestly, I've seen people who are not exactly impressed by the few minutes he has had, by the few games he has come off as come on as a substitute. But if you ask me, I think he has done better than most of our substitutes have done in so many games they have played, even those who have played more than him. So I think for me, it is only right that we give him a chance to start because there are certain players who are better as starters than they are off the bench. Now, Ahmad could be that. There is no way we would know if he doesn't start games of football. Now, the latest coming through is that Amad Diallo has consistently impressed Eric Ten Hag in training. I told you before that even from way back during my I've been following, Man United, and everyone at Carrington, you saw the admin on Instagram, on TikTok, everyone has consistently seen that Amad Diallo is the most skillful player at Manchester United, or one of the most naturally skillful players at Manchester United. I had an interview just this week, earlier on, with Andre Onana. He was asked who the most skillful player is in training, and he mentioned Amad Diallo. Only to remember what this would mean to Anthony. It's like sort of a vote of no confidence in Anthony, and he shamed him and Anthony. He added on Anthony. But the reality is, we all know that this boy is good. The admin has dropped on our social media pages, has dropped videos showing Amad Diallo beating off men in split seconds, Anthony taking 5 minutes to beat off the same men. So this is how good this boy has. But Eric Ten Hag has always had his excuses, saying he's young, he needs to be introduced slowly, he has been injured for a long time. He mentioned that again. But I love the fact that he's admitting that this boy deserves more time. He deserves the opportunity to be playing. He says there's a lot of competition in that position. Well, perhaps there is, but what does the competition do? What has Anthony really done in the so many games he has played? What does Marcus Rashford, by his standards, do? Honestly, for me, by Rashford's standards and Ahmad's standards, Ahmad perhaps is doing fairly better than Rashford by his standards. Why? Rashford is already showing you he's not interested no more in playing football. And you can't get the best out of a player like Rashford when he does not want to play for you. So that's why for me, I think it's high time Eric Ten Hag made the changes. It's not even just because Rashford was limping off after Coventry or because Garnacho might be injured because he was also substituted because of a complaint he made, or because Bruno or too had his hand paining when he left the pitch. No, I think it is should be completely on his merit because the reality is I think Amad Diallo is more motivated, more charged to play for Man United in this period when we are chasing a top four that seems impossible. We need players who are charged, who are naturally psyched up to fight for this beloved badge. Marcus Rashford is not. So even if he's fit, I would think for me, Amad Diallo can start ahead of him, even if he's fit, because Amad has got the hunger and desire to start a game of football, prove himself, and in any case, this is Sheffield United, guys. It's not Man City, it's not Liverpool, it's not Arsenal, it's not a Champions League final. This is a game against Sheffield United at Old Trafford. And the other thing that Eric Ten Hag has got to learn is that at times when things are not going on well for you, with the so-called trusted senior players not performing, I think it is only right for you to give chance to youngsters because the youngsters will make the fans forget about the poor performances of the senior team. Because imagine if you start some of these youngsters, the way look at the joy we got from Kobe, that Kobe made us almost forget some of the issues we had because of his emergence and how he played so well at his age. So for me, I think these youngsters bring a bit of joy to the faces of the supporters because you remember how we advocated for Garnacho to start playing games when Marcus Rashford was not performing. When he came, this boy also brought us some bit of joy for some time. Up to now, he continues too when he has a good game. So it does Kobe Maino. So did Rasmus Højlund when he came in. These youngsters will make us forget about the road from the so-called senior players who are paid a lot of money to do absolutely nothing, to laze around like they didn't have dinner. So Eric Ten Hag should do it for himself. That Imagine if Ahmad goes on there on the pitch and he plays extremely well. Old Trafford will be buzzing than having Rashford come and plays the lazy pass, walks with his face frowning, and have fans complain. So, because if you bring the youngsters, the expectation, first of all, is low. The expectation is that the youngsters will enjoy themselves. And in any case, we are in a transition where we are mostly going to rely on these youngsters after the next 6 games when we go into the new season. So, why not start them now? Why don't introduce them now to just give them a feel? Because no one is going to judge you. I think so many of us have given up on Europe. That's the reality. But also, this is a Sheffield United that even our youngsters should be able to beat. And I'm not saying just put youngsters out there, balance it up. But for the players who have shown you clearly they're not willing to fight for the badge, the Marcus Rashfords of this world, bench those ones. Let the Ahmads play. Bring in the these Ogunayes, the Harry Amasas, give them minutes at least. I'm not saying they should start, but should start. But give these other kids minutes. And I'm telling you, we have been denied the opportunity to see what Ahmad can do with Ganacho and Hoyland up top. Marcus Rashford, and he's a big name player. He's frustrating us a lot. We've seen many a time Bruno getting the ball, passes it to Rashford, he wastes it. Gets the ball. Bruno, for some reason, has still not moved on from there, fallout with Hoyland. I don't think he passes the ball to Hoyland enough. So Marcus Rashford is a facade, if I would call it. Pull him out. Let him just get his head right if he does want to play, but it doesn't seem it's going to happen. It doesn't seem it will happen. And you see, for a player like Rashford, you can't get the best out of him if he does not want to play for you. If his head, I mean, the issues with Rashford are in his head. So give this boy Ahmad, who comes, yes, he has come on as a substitute a few times, and people are saying, what has he done? And I'm thinking that's unfair because it's just being now, has been reintroduced into the system. I think I like how he plays along. I like his life in the game, his involvement in stuff, trying to shoot with his weak right. He's trying to do things and open himself up to do the natural things we know he can do. So give him the chance to do that against the Sheffield United, and trust you me, we will not regret. For a player who scored an important goal against against Liverpool in the FA Cup, Sheffield United should be a walk in the park for him. Eric Ten Hag has got to make changes. Play the players who will play for you. Play the players who will fight for you. Play the players who have got the heart and desire to run their lungs out for this badge at this point in time, because where we are is not about skills, it's not about profile, it's survival. Survival football requires attitude, the right attitude. That's why people will complain about Scott McTominay and his lack of skill, but Scott McTominay has got the heart, and because of his heart he has scored 10 goals. I think he's our top scorer now. That is what we need. So Scott McTominay's fitness is important. If he's fit, he should be playing games ahead of these lazy players who do not show the desire to fight for this badge of Manchester United. So expect some changes, either forced or not, whether forced or not, whatever the case, expect changes, and don't be surprised if Amad Diallo finally makes his first full start this season for Manchester United. It will be a happy time, honestly, to see that happen. So that's that. I'm hoping that is the case. Of course, we'll be back, of course, to talk about the lineup when it's confirmed an hour before the game, which starts off in just under 5 hours from now. So in 4 hours, we will be back here to drop the starting 11 for you. I'll give you my prediction of the game then. But for now, I expect some changes. I expect them to be exciting. It could be Rashford or Ganacho who will be out, because Garnacho was complaining pain in his I know it was Bruno who complained about pain in his arm. Garnacho, Ten Hag said he substituted him off in the Coventry game because of some complaint. Then Marcus Rashford was seen limping off. Whether it was real or not, we wouldn't really care that much. We hope it's just not too serious. We don't wish him bad, but I don't wish him to be starting ahead of Amad Diallo in our game against Sheffield United at Old Trafford. Let's hope. Let us hope. Maybe I won't say against hope because the hint has come from Ten Hag himself, but let us hope that Ahmad is given that chance. Some players are better as starters than they are as substitutes. Ahmad could be that, but there is only one way to find out: by having him start and you see how he performs, or and also having him off the bench. So we've seen him several times off the bench. We need to see him as a starter and see what he does. United has conceded 74 goals this season. What a dubious start. Anyway, the Eric Ten Hag is all about attacking. For him, I think the only way to defend is to attack, and Amad Diallo adds to the attack, but also he commits back and tries to help in the defense, and he has got that energy to sprint. Even when he was fasting, you saw the goal he scored against Liverpool was during Ramadan. He was fasting. So now that the Ramadan is done, I think even Sitat is done, he should be able to come out there and just make these Sheffield boys run. And these are opponents he knows during his time at Sunderland on loan. He was making them run for fun. So honestly, he will be properly motivated and ready to take on this championship-bound Sheffield United. Let's give him the chance and hope for the best from our Ivory Coast international, the little boy Amad Diallo. Subscribe to United Sport. My name is Webb. Catch you later.